So, this week, Aaron Smith managed to prevent a try by getting his boot underneath the ball in what seemed to be a world first accident. So, got us thinking, what are the best accidental bits of skill in rugby? The best things that came off as a complete fluke. I mean, famously, the Simon Zebo moment against Wales a few years ago, his back heel flick. You've got Joe Goodchild scoring a try after Wales failed to kick the ball out in the sevens in the last minute. And Valentin Popolan scoring a try for Romania in 2015, where he didn't notice he'd scored, the TMO did, and pointed out to the referee. Any more of these, any more accidental bits of skill that even if you pulled it off, please send them our way, we'll read them out next week, the very next week. So, welcome back. Seems like things are roughly back to normal. The Chiefs lost, the Crusaders won, the Brumbies pulled it out in the last minute, just seems to be the way things are going at the minute. We had a few really good, tense, tight games going on. So the Chiefs really pushed the Crusaders. Looked like there was a chance they might cause that upset finally, only for Severis to score a quite controversial try. Although, if you ask Scott Robertson, it wasn't controversial at all. And come away with what in the end on the scoreboard looked like a quite comprehensive win. Whilst, meanwhile, the Blues continue to put as much pressure as anyone can feasibly put on the Crusaders, considering they've got this wrapped up already, pretty much good as. Going into the last 2 weeks, so they managed to pull off an impressive win. Beauden Barrett throwing a great pass and leading this try by Finlay Christie. In Australia, the Brumbies managed to pull off a brilliant last-minute win after the Reds came back from 17 points down to get ahead, with Harry Wilson being brilliant. He's such a good young player. And then from there, managing to remain ahead right until 79 minutes when the Brumbies kick a penalty to win it. Rugby doesn't get much, finishes to games don't get much better than that. Meanwhile, as we head toward the Northern Hemisphere season resuming with the Premiership back in a week and a half-ish, we finally have a proper international window. We know when test matches will take place. There's a new 6-week block in which we will be seeing plenty of games being played. I'm frankly I'm starting to get withdrawal symptoms from international rugby. The Six Nations didn't finish, I never got any closure.
And that, my friend, is what they call closure.
And regardless, I've just got the image of international sides putting over late kicks locked in my head, and I'm very excited about that. Meanwhile, Argentina will, by the looks of things, be playing in the Americas Rugby Championship. That's where things seem to be headed for them, with the Rugby Championship itself taking a kind of different path this year. And so, I mentioned late kick, I mentioned Northern Hemisphere Rugby. I think it's high time that we run a new feature here on the feed and have a look back at a history lesson on an old game. And of course, where better to start than a game very, very much in my heart, deep in, there's
another
it's like
one.
It's like an argument at this point. It's probably an infection. It's probably really bad for my cholesterol. The fact this game is so well lodged in my heart. Let's have a look at that. It's Wales against England in 2015 in the World Cup, not one of the Six Nations that Wales lost. That one's less important to me.
Wales against England is possibly the biggest fixture in rugby, the one weighted with the most history and face-scraping rivalry. And yet, this might have been the biggest it ever got. Twickenham, Saturday night, the Rugby World Cup. And 4 whole years of hype. This was the game, the ticket everybody wanted, the target match both sides were talking about leading in, the one game fans argued over all the way. I was working a normal real job during the day leading into the match and wore my Wales shirt under my uniform all day. I spent the entire shift dripping with nerves, ready to be let off and just sit in front of a TV set almost shaking. This was it. This was the big one. And the match lived up to that billing. The whole game is full of iconic moments, from Johnny May's opening try to the Welsh bodies lying battered across the Twickenham turf, Gareth Davies diving over to put Wales level out of absolutely nowhere, Dan Biggar's winning kick right from the halfway line that still makes me just explode every time I see it, and I've seen it a lot. I've done a lot of exploding. Chris Robshaw's brave decision, followed by his stupid one, the Welsh defence, and then Toby Faletau demonstrating some of the greatest number 8 ball control you'll ever see, allowing Dan Biggar to take the ball back and kick it out behind his own try line. Perhaps the most iconic moment of the lot is Davies's try. Wales exploiting a misread by Brad Barrett and allowing third choice scrum half Lloyd Williams to burst down the wing before putting in a kick that Talupe Faletau may or may not have called himself, allowing Gareth Davies to regather and set the land of my fathers alight. This was maybe the biggest, tensest, tightest, and frankly, there's an argument to be made, greatest pool match in the history of the Rugby World Cup. This was a match I've watched an endless number of times and will watch over and over again until the day I finally shuffle on. This might have had 4 years of hype, but it'll be a treasured memory in Wales for considerably longer than that.
So last week we asked you which Olympians you think would be great at rugby and what position you'd want them playing. Plenty of replies coming in. Finlay Stewart saying stick Michael Phelps in the back row. Big, broad-shouldered boy who would dominate the breakdown. He's got based that kind of movement, isn't he? That kind of like poaching movement. Jacob says Messi is a scrum half trapped in a kicky boy's body, which I can see. I think he could have been. He has some sort of raw sporting talent. He might have been passable at rugby. He might have got maybe to like championship standard. Easy Dubs says Usain Bolt. Easy answer. I presume you play him on the wing. Big lad, useful lad, and also I don't think I noticed this, but Usain Bolt. It's quite quick. Willie says Anthony Joshua in second row. Can you imagine England fielding a team with Anthony Joshua and Courtney Laws in the second row? The sheer levels of violence going on there. All for it. That's what second row should be like. Flying G says Jessica Ennis-Hill would be a bloomin' good blindside flanker. I'd have had her as a 12. I'd have had her as a 12, but I can sort of see that. Nad or Nadi says Wade van Niekerk, who is very fast and probably doesn't have bad genes for rugby, considering he is, of course, Cheslin Colby's cousin. And frankly, even if you walked past Cheslin Colby in the supermarket once, you've probably got a solid basis for rugby. I think that's pretty much guaranteed that you'll be at least quite good. You at least get to Lionel Messi's level in the championship. Maybe you play against him someday for the Bedford Blues. So thank you very much for sending those in and for watching and for just being yourself. Thank you very much. If you want to subscribe to the World Rugby YouTube channel, you can do that by clicking the link right below. Otherwise, I'll see you next week for more of the feed.